Baker. I am an independent over-the-road truck driver. Started in about late 1999 to early 2000. TruckBytes came about because I bought 3 different software packages that just didn't seem to fit my needs, and so I went to a friend of mine who does write software code, and he said, sure, we can do it. Draw me some pictures, write me an outline, and we took about 3 months to do so. Began developing TruckBytes, and about 2002 we completed our first version, did some testing, did some modifications to it, and by late 2004 to early 2005 we began providing it to customers. It is a software designed for independents, owner-operators, and small fleets. Some individual company drivers, they use it as well. And what it does is it tracks all the loads, allows you to enter the load, dispatch a truck if you're using it for a small fleet. Then you can print the invoices, enter all the expenses. It automatically takes fuel expenses, adds them to the trip report, finish completing the trip report, and you're all done. It'll run your income reports, expense reports, print your trip reports, and invoice your customers.
Okay. And
that's all free. That's all free. It has been since the day we began, and it will be for 1983 when I went into the Army, and I was in for about 10 years. I was actually in construction, but we hauled our own equipment around, and I was responsible for my own truck and a group of trucks at one point. And after the Gulf War, and I returned back from the Middle East, we did a reduction in force, and I was selected in a lottery to return back to civilian life. And I had about 3 weeks to return to civilian life, and I started looking for work, and I spoke to a gentleman named Bob Toberman at Texas Star Express, and as it turned out, fate was on my side. Bob was a former Korean War veteran who also was challenged to find work after he returned from the Korean War.
Very quickly, probably.
Very quickly, yeah. He stepped out on a limb and said, hey, I want to do this, and he went to the president at Texas Star. I believe the gentleman's name was Gary Amerson. And Gary said, absolutely, Bob, we'll do it. And that began my over-the-road.
And you were with Texas Star for a number of years?
I was with Texas Star for about 2 years. Okay. And then I returned home to take a local job, and that local job didn't work, and so I started driving for a local company.
Now, home is where?
Home is Pontiac, Illinois at that time.
Oh, okay, okay.
And then I drove for a local company for about 3 months, and there was a contract dispute with the union, and it didn't appear that that company was going to last, and so I went to drive for someone else, and I was correct. They actually folded about 3 months later.
Oh, wow.
And then the carrier I went to drive for was in business until about 1999, which was when I made my change when they went out of business. And I began driving my own truck and running my own. Discouraged with how much time paperwork took, and the software that I bought, there were 3 of them, they just didn't get the job done in a timely manner. Some of them were overkill. There was one that just didn't work altogether, and I was really frustrated by it.
Okay. So, and these were all paid programs? Or?
They were all paid programs. In that first year, with the 3 programs collectively, I believe I spent about $5,500 total. Wow. So it was a lot of money. And a lot of the software programs out there have what's called a maintenance fee, where you have to keep paying every year to receive their updates and receive the updated IFTA rates, because if you don't have those every quarter, you know, all the software in the world to do IFTA is no good. You don't have rates. 2000, right in that ballpark, late 2000, early 2001 is when we really got started with it. And the first build, of course, I only used, and Tony Mayrow, my friend who did do the software source code himself, he and I did a lot of the test work, and we tested and worked with it for quite some time before we actually released it.
Okay, so Tony was a friend of yours that you knew locally.
Tony is a friend of mine. He is from White Sulphur Springs, West Virginia, and that's where he currently lives, and that's where we operate our IT office out of.
Okay. Did you know him in the military, maybe?
No, I did not. I met him right as I was starting my own trucking company in about 2000.
Oh, okay. Just how did you guys meet?
I am a big open source software kind of guy. I appreciate Linux, and I was looking for some Linux software, and I found a piece of software that Tony had written, and it was called Checkbook Tracker, and so I was using it, and I had a question. He answered my question. We spoke on the telephone. He was a real kind gentleman for somebody that was giving away free software. It was really kind of him. And so when this project came up and Tony and I had gotten to know each other much better, I went and I talked to him, and we've become very close and good friends. Well, my oldest son is 19, and he graduated last year. And next month he goes into the Army. He went ahead and held out enlisting until he got the job opportunity he wanted, which was welding. He's been welding ever since he was a freshman in high school and loves it. And so when he went into the Army, he was determined to wait until he got that position instead of taking any position that was available.
Right.
So very, very proud of him for holding out and sticking to his guns and going after the career field that he was after. My youngest son, ever since he was a freshman in high school, set a goal for himself to receive a college scholarship playing the bassoon. And he's been working towards that, and this year he's been speaking to a couple of different colleges who have been scouting him for about 2 years now and talking to him and working towards that scholarship.
Okay, so it sounds like basically what I'm hearing is sort of like father like son, and in terms of the enterprising spirit.
They have a very how do you say that word? Entrepreneurial. There you go. Thank you. Entrepreneurial spirit,
Okay.
and they definitely set goals and seek them out rather aggressively.
Okay. Okay. And any chance they'd be actually involved in the trucking business? I know you got the Baker and Sons on the side of the truck.
My oldest son potentially could be.
Okay.
We've had extending conversations about making sure you have more than one career path available to you for your future.
Sure.
And so we've discussed him learning more about the trucking industry after he's done in the Army or during Army as a second job, because you can have 2 separate MOSs in the Army. So we had that conversation, and
Sure.
he kind of liked that idea. My younger son, he's focused on music right now, so I don't know that he would ever be interested in the transportation industry, but you never know.
You never know.